Okay, so then we have one, I think one of the main things that we raised earlier is that men go back and some of them do not bring their wives here, or some of them wait a significant amount of time before they can bring their wives abroad. So for a while there, they are the ones that would make the journey back home to go visit the wives and whatever kids, if they're blessed to have children, that they have back home. What are the implications of these very long distance relationships on not just the couple, but also on the society as a whole? What are the implications of these relationships? Any of you can jump in. Yep, Achille.
Oh, thank you. Um, Normally or naturally, right? Kids, when you start a family, what you have back in your mind, it's the future or the future of your kids. And I believe kids that are raised separately by or kids that are raised by a single parent compared to the one that are raised by both parents, there's a big difference when it comes to love and attention. So when when you leave your children and wife back home and then you are here, there is that part of love and attention that is missing in the life of the children, and the father teaching to it's missing in them. They don't get to, they don't get to know what their father is, what is like pure baba de na bada no ke gabaliu no ke garan. And another thing, I don't know how it makes sense or how it works for them, but to me, why would you marry someone and live like apart like for more than 5 years? um, I don't know how it works for them because there are needs in a marriage, right? You don't get into a marriage just because of that. There was a need that you have to get into the marriage. There is that. I don't know how the how do they meet this sexual satisfaction, because when you are in that relationship or when you are married, there is that need. I don't know. So in that aspect, it's missing. The sexual satisfaction is missing because you are not getting it. And that's why most of the time we hear scandal like diar akur or tingtine achi weti ke East Africa achi kore. It comes out most of the time as a blame to women. Etika ibulwe blame kulwele tingadi era kweloi. Tingadi era kweloi. But have you sit down and ask yourself, this is a human being with needs, and those needs are not being justified at that time. So it breaks these long distance relationship between lost boys and the women is uh, is broken a lot of how do you call it, marriages, because it's not feasible to be like apart. There are needs that are not being met, and then there's it put a lot of responsibilities on the woman because she's the one to take care of the children, and she's the one to take care of the extended family, because you know where we come from. When you get married to a family, you are not only it's not a nuclear family. There's a lot of uncles, atoba kudio marurku kunyirbaiku and all that. And when problem comes up, kayin jegwa lui blame yin ting to buy ten ko anaya lui fly in between, and it's I feel like these are these blended family thing also lead to break of a lot of lost boys marriages. So these long distance relationship, it's not accepted. Something should be done.
Lakir?
Yeah. Yes, I will jump in. So, when somebody leaves, a man naturally leaves to go marry back home, either in East Africa or in South Sudan, they already made that decision whether to bring the wife back to the West where they live or to pack them somewhere in Nairobi or Kampala. And I will not talk about people who are intending to bring their wives. So they're just in that transition period. They're either working on their applications and getting that visa for their spouses to come here. I'll talk about people who actually don't want their family to be in the West, and that is just, it sounds ridiculous to me for different reasons. Number one that Echio mentioned is human beings have needs. And when you go marry somebody's daughter, you're supposed to take care of them. You have to be a companion to them. You have to, you know, be a husband and be a present husband, not somebody who just comes in once a year, give them a child and then leave. That doesn't make sense to me. Second is they don't want the family, the children, and the wife to be influenced by the Western culture. And in that sense, it does take away that control. If you don't want your children to be raised a certain way, you want to keep them away from that environment. The same way you don't want your wife to get different ideas. Like a big one in our community is human right, which is usually misunderstood what human rights mean or women rights mean. So I would say I'm completely against getting somebody's daughter and pack them somewhere in East Africa and just be working. At the same time, it works to their disadvantage because now you have a huge family to take care of. It's not just your wife and children, everybody else comes home and they are there to stay. And some people want you to take their children to school. So you see them working themselves to like 3 to 4 jobs, trying to keep up with the bills when it would have been easy to have the wife around and even help with, contributing economically as compared to just having them take care of family and you send them money every month. So there is that. So it then leads to different things such as infidelity. Na chati jawan for a long time, question in ben enough throughout the year because we understand the job market that you cannot be leaving whenever you want. You make it once a year during your vacation. Then they get ideas and they're tempting young boys around and they look good. It kind of rule themselves. And yet, on the other hand, being alone, like it's really lonely in the West. Like I don't know how they make it though, just staying alone while having a whole family across the ocean when you could be together, and have that company and companionship close by.
Rhoda?
Oh, wow, what a fantastic view there. I want to take it a little bit to a community perspective and generally. Really, I think there's actually some positive of this international marriage in our community. You remember during those days, when we have a wet tempo or we want to wet tempo, Jerry, but now the Theo Kajan, you know, be prepared. Correct. A life I'll do a chin team called some well long thing. But now Atlantic Ocean, a shoot them go body, I say, even now, actually, I know some positive to bear that actually just crossing Nile to other side is actually not a long distance. It's actually shorter than crossing the Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean to go and marry abroad. So there's actually some positive there. And also, I speak highly about this international marriage, especially the lost boy marriages have actually impacted our community in so many positive ways. Then ke ben ku du ke ti ke ni to ku ju bo re te du ke invest in west na ku like twin or big la ti ka other races other nationalities na ke the ko in the darkness and I benefited from the marriages in one way or another. Maybe a tanja jar thing Rwanda or ye dom dien kudura ci waji ka kuma on chen kwan bala go ci jat ban en lo sukuli ba ben Canada. So they really uplift our families out of poverty. They took dollars here to Kakuma big leo. They big a waji del big Somalin big a big Kenyan big can you like they contribute usually to our communities and our neighboring countries and our villages they are also a chica in power, especially that gender inequality reduce because if you go to the village and take that girl, bring her to Nairobi and put her in school, you're actually empowering that woman. So there's an element of women empowerment that actually huge. Actually, they empower a lot of women. So they took these women to school. Those who were illiterate became literate. They sponsored them to Canada, to US, to Australia, and these women now are contributing to our community in a lot of ways. So it was actually one tool of women empowerment, rather than they just settle here and integrate and forget. So they really did a lot of good things. Of course, there are actually bad ways, especially, the challenges of immigration actually really outpower or overpower these people. For example, if someone like went to Kakuma, marry a grade 8 girl and bring her here, so this guy is now working 2 jobs or 3 jobs to cater for the family, because the woman cannot bring home like sufficient income to really balance out the time they should spend together. Then these marriages come and break down because of so many reasons, and they becoming vulnerable and right? And then the blame, as Alaki said, anything that is spoiled family, usually rests on women. The people don't really pay attention to what led to women actually, breaking down and decide to be their own. So it led to a rise of single mom, because maybe like challenges of power, we don't know, right? But we know that these marriages were not sustainable. Maybe these guys went there, someone is a cleaner here and went there and lie, or maybe that person clean in hospital and went there and say she work in hospital, and the wife think when the doctor, and then when she come here and realize she's just a hospital cleaner, and then now expectation I can meet, marriage breakdown, children are left in the middle, and then this kid now cannot fit in these challenging systems here. And then in the end, or and I take a lot of victim. So there is that you empower someone, but very not victimized in a way that you actually do not foresee. Because if not, if you're right, could take a chit one, and now Mitaria Ben lot draki because they could not fit. I can't get enough time back, right? Because you guys were working 2 jobs or were fighting in the house. Then come watch actually a lot no advantage. I look very young dear can bear a lair by a muse. Long bella thinking and think or who settle there, who did me. We intend me with Yali and who in manner for the there. Oh, Kakua, Yanama. So it really, there are a lot of challenges that women need to factor in when they are the age different to now, Ben in 17, we around 50. So you need to really catch up, because around 50 and go a retire, and you need to step up to take the leadership in the house to provide economic security to your children. And most of those boys on our route is spread very thin because they are serving the community. Like Nakanya ran Jalatiaka in Gajaran Ben Paninya Jaratawi, Kukor Belara Kim, Kukor Alat, Kukor Cham, Kukor Sukul. You have to now they may not even have enough savings. And then it exhausting financially. So financial issues also are a huge thing. I'm taking you out of the question of the regular one in East Africa or in Africa in general, wherever they are. Once a year, but that one has well been addressed, but it's also a challenge too. It has led to rise of spoiled boys. Another implication to Benanum too, I think inflated. That's a negative part of it, because when dollar we compete can coaching dollar now coaching dollar have to survive. Because they are or because or or because we rust and market now. Market in year or near Piata, Jango, Junior Jacker, Bag, when coffee, big young will do dear can get because I know when get a piano. So can like a society actually polarize, and a society actually put into competition that is really not necessary. then and of course you totally I think a disadvantage in many ways, but also actually empowered to look beyond the boundaries of South Sudan, because going outside it create allyship and you become friends, right? And so there is also a positive aspect to that of intercultural collaboration. I enhance in I men yan South Sudanese ku yen minister to Canada maga South Sudanese I ka pay by na ramtam e ka lu agenda South Sudan lu push it, and so there are good ways the benen ke need empower to be into the system to be capella ben and work. Yeah, I just wanted to add those points, but I will stop there. I challenge I think ideas. Lu role.
Mine is a disagreement. There's a point that you raised that these are long distance relationships, these long distance marriages, let's just put it like that, between lost boys and the wife, is actually led to women empowerment. I do not agree with that, because if that was the case, then the families would not be stagnant economically the way they are right now. I believe what I've seen and what is going on is that these lost boys do not really care about empowering women. All they care about is Nyan Joloj, Nyan Bedi, Ngadi Boko Louis Station in East Africa, sorry. And there's a podcast where we were talking about this the other day. Lost boys are getting this lack of information. There's information asymmetry between these people. So the lost boys are here, and because these women have not been empowered and they have not gone to school, they don't know what it is here in the West. They think that and so the thing, I think that's one of the reasons why someone would just sit down and not ask to be empowered or not request the husband to be taken to school, because they're because the husband is sending everything back home. I do not disagree that there is positive externality about these long distance marriages, because if we look at it, if there were no long distance marriages between the lost boys, then Ecuador really East Africa were in Midian get but that aspect of women empowerment is lacking, and it's something that they should put in place to empower the women, because at the of our Baba and them two here are Kilos College. The job that they are working in labor-intensive jobs, and it will reach a point in 5 years or 10 years where they can no longer do that. Kudiyarakin Kelwe empower TT East Africa. So, in short, these marriages led into economic stagnation of these families. If you compare families talk get together, let's say families juba right now you guys are together, or let's say among the projects that are going alongside timan we when alwela ku yi alwel ku yin majaka, you are more likely to achieve a family goal more than them, because there is that compactness. You guys are staying together, and it's easier for a family to achieve something, to achieve a goal when they're staying together as compared to being being apart from each other. So I believe then it would be easier for them to raise their families and actually achieve. Because now if you look at it, ndio nilikuwa nakaa nikasema, I say to myself like, what is the goal in keeping your family in Africa, and you are here, you are not doing you are not financially stable, you are not doing well. The family back home there might be doing well, but there is no anything substantial that you can see that will show you. There's no investment that the children can lean on. Let's say if the nanong parents can. So what is the point of keeping your family there and you are here? Them here, they're not doing well. Most of them are staying with roommates, and majority of them, if not 90% of them, they have not any asset assets here in Africa, let's say a house or something, nothing. If you go back home in East Africa, most of them are staying in these big cities in East Africa, but they have nothing that they can show. This is my thing. This is my investment. This is what I'm going to leave with my family. So that's what I wanted to add. I would love to disagree. They do not empower the women, and part of it could be like the fear of being dominated by a woman, you know.
Interesting perspective. Lucky, do you have anything to add?
No, just wanted to say that it would be a good shift towards the current generation. Are they taking these lessons and applying them, especially with investment? That is very important. Oftentimes you can become disabled, you get injury at work, especially labor-intensive work. How do you plan on making sure your family is okay when sudden emergencies occur? So yes, good point.
That's a good point to note. And while everybody was contributing, I had a few questions that stuck out for me that I wanted to ask around the impacts. For example, I think two things that were mentioned, but one was by Acheo. Actually, I think they're both from Acheo. Economic stagnation, and initially at the beginning you mentioned wives being left alone and the responsibility falls on them. So do you think this is a new phenomenon, and is it specific to lost boys that have gone back home to marry in Africa, or is it something that even we know this from our parents' age group, where maybe it's the war that contributed to it, but even then, I think when I talk to my older aunties, I hear that their husbands would sometimes go to the cattle camp and leave them by became Midlongmo and take care of them. Is it really a new phenomenon? The Lost Boys just continuing this this concept that they've seen from their older male relatives, where you can just take a Ithiak, one, they'll figure themselves out as long as they have a little farm. They can feed their children. They have a cow they can milk. So is it specific to them leaving the wives alone? Number two, is it also is it economic stagnation? Is it and lack of being empowered within the marriage? Is it more of the women's lack of desire to push themselves than really and asking for their husbands to empower them, that really just the lost boys not being interested? And of course, here we have to be mindful that's not everybody, but majority of the women are, as you mentioned, are comfortable with you no longer live in the camp in the hot sun. You're in Nairobi, you're enjoying all the luxuries. Is it up to you to maybe think of what more can I be besides being somebody's wife? What more can I contribute? Because we've seen families that were wealthy living in Nairobi and all of that, and then something happens to their husband and now they're bundled back to the camp. Should they be learning from that and maybe asking to be empowered? Is it up to the man to think for you as a woman, is the question. So two things, you can answer now, or we can come back to them later for you to answer them. Which one do you prefer? Okay, let's answer them now then. So first one, is it a new concept? Yeah.
Absolutely, it's not a new thing.
Okay.
Because traditionally, marriage was viewed as an institution where it's only for making children. So for men, it was like, na chatumdutao, you go. I feel too the war has contributed to this. So it just become normal for us, or for even women, right? It's normal for them to be apart from the men because it's something that has just been continuing. The war has contributed to this, and we cannot blame our men in that aspect, because the women were in the camp taking care of the children, where men were at the war. So it sort of become normal. It became normal for like families to be apart from each other. It's not okay. It's absolutely not okay, but it just became a normal thing. So I believe to bring it back to the lost boy. I believe like to them it's okay for a woman to be there so long you are providing financially, and you go law, then you are good. But it's contributing to mental health issues too, because like working extremely so hard and having to provide for everyone, and at the end of the day you come home, you have no one, and you are aging too. There's that aspect of midlife crisis, it's kicking in, and there needs human being ato and then you just lonely at the end of the day. So it's not a new thing. It's something that has just been continuing from our traditional perspective, and then the war continued it, and then now the lost boy and probably lost boys, and probably has to we gradually think it's okay, and then we fall into that part. The second question is that's a tricky one, but I believe number one is that a woman would really want to be empowered, right? But if your man is providing everything, bear in mind these one are not and you are brought from a different environment to be upgraded to East Africa or to any or Kakuma or wherever, and then you are given this luxurious life. Week do it how yinchi chienko wala ne 20,000 damdi do it how yet kukakunge each kumundu we work toward every week. Even me, I think I would be comfortable if I had not been exposed, to many environments. So the lack of being exposed to make them think that it's, it's actually okay because they have not gone outside there to view the world how it looks, and the essence of men not disclosing their financial situation here or their living condition here has contributed to them being comfortable, not to ask for empowerment. And of course, there are women whereby the men who really want to empower them, but they don't want to because maybe laziness or something, I don't know. And there is a majority of them, lost boys, our age, like it doesn't even cross their mind to empower the women because they feel like a man's job in the marriage is to provide. So what the point of giving these women an empowerment? Another thing is that too. School that so you'll be like, empower it's not like a year to law school you could be poor because they want to. It's because school or any sort of empowerment you will open up, like your mindset change completely because you are exposed to different ideologies, you are exposed to different environment, you are exposed to different cultures, and when you are when your mindset is like that, you start to question your culture or things that you used to do. You're like, oh, this is not right, this is right, this is not right. And then from there, you start to, baranyai. And probably that's why and there's for minority that bring their wives here. They come here and then they start to, integrate slowly, and they open their mind and they see, oh, I was being confined. This is not right. It was not supposed to be like this. And then, boom, you're doing. So I guess it answer your question. There's that lost boy because they are empowered because of the fear that is known to them. And then these women are young people that have not been they have not known anything before, and they're just being flash money all over. So you are comfortable. Why do you need to? Yung we do you lobby kwanong kakun ka bacham ke nong kakun to be ocham ke.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like it.
interesting. Oh, yeah, of course. So I will answer the two questions by talking about the role of women in the marriage. Before the war began and before people migrate to East Africa and the neighboring countries, and then eventually to the West, women are already it's their role to manage the household. And managing the household is not an easy task. It's not rewarded. It's just expected by the society. So you happen to see women in the villages are married, and the man comes, give you a child, and goes back to the village because really it is frowned upon if you're being close with a man, you're pregnant. This is a culture thing. They will say, oh, this woman is being, I don't know the better word to say it, but I think yung mo'y cool no, chen mo chalam, mo chalam bi. So then you see that distance in marriage has always been there. It's not a new thing. It's always been there and normalized for various reasons. So initially it was because marriage is a so institution to make children, and there's no need to be close to a woman as long as they're pregnant. And then Ajiti Dongbai, these women already been participating in economic activities to provide for the family. In addition to managing the house affairs while Mujachalawuti, they would like if there is any repairs to the rooms, the repairs to the homestay they've built, this woman take care of them because they're always present. They would engage in other activities such as farming, like there is always a farm dom to buy. I don't know which side of the home into thin, but tiar ka kai pur. Ache ka pur bade na rapa bigger time this harvesting season in Benton. Now, in the context of refugee camp, I grew up around people who, yes, some are comfortable with whatever racial food are being provided by the UN, but I've seen people empowered enough to go out there in the market. Make it that meow, um like finding a way to like make that extra income and make life as comfortable for their family. They always been participating. I myself can talk ako manchit purudom dina kudura. And I made my money. Like that felt so good. Everybody should be thinking about how to make their own money in that context. And then second question is about if women are not asking for opportunities or asking for resources to be empowered. Na chika tiyak, keeping in mind that I think a very new phenomenon that is happening. I don't think it's always been there in our culture. I think Nirake is allowed to grow and be capable of managing a household because it's a whole responsibility. You're moving into a new family and you're expected to do everything perfectly for the first time in your life, just like your mother did. Alanya tiaku kakuma or panajingubi Nairobi, and there is like a extended family in the house. They have to provide the daily labor of preparing children for school, taking care of the extended family members. Mind you, they have to bear children. So as soon as me the in man them. So how do you even have time to think about ka kor baloi na cha diet baru na ku indiet baru ni indiet ku mitalo school even though ku chornang help in the house. I don't think there's enough time to be able to contribute economically. Now one solution I've seen people implemented is getting a household help nyan loy in Nairobi that does take off the pressure of daily logistics of the house, and that is an opportunity for a woman to like empower themselves and participate in other ways to raise income, not just for the family but for themselves. It's okay for your man to take care of you. A good thing, but think about it now. If you do your own thing, we see there Somali Nairobi Isli, they have the little shop, they do their business. So that there's some obstacles that they are paying a Google time and ask for help to be empowered in their household. So I think majority of the responsibility now is on the husband to strategize. How do we manage the household better so my wife can be empowered and take over in case I don't have capacity to work anymore?